We're going behind the scenes with all the crazy tech from the Expand Your Reach Live Virtual Summit, the video wall, the 9 computers, the 8 cameras. Let's do it! We got a ton of questions from you wanting to see behind the scenes, and we're gonna try and answer all of those questions right now. First and foremost, why all of the tech? Why did we have to go and build a video wall? Well, I really wanted this to be an engaging and very interactive event, as close to an in-person experience that we could possibly achieve while being virtual. So this was my view. To keep me on track, my teleprompter would run any notes or bullet points about what was going on so that I didn't miss any important info. As you know, when you're live, sometimes the adrenaline gets going and you kind of forget some stuff. So this really kept me on track. This whole thing was a last minute addition. I was not actually supposed to have the prompter computer beside me, but we spent about 8 hours troubleshooting prompter controls and nothing was working. So I just went old school and went for the arrow keys on the computer. Another way to keep me on track was the timer. This would count down to the segment time, so I knew how much time I had left. The speakers were also seeing the countdown timer so they could stay on track. I could also see the next speaker when they were ready. They would show up on my quad view. I also saw attendees that were pinned and ready to come up and ask a speaker a question or share their takeaways. And this top monitor was the broadcast view. Everything being sent out to the broadcast to you attendees was seen here so that I knew if I was on camera or not. No picking my nose. And then of course, this monitor and this monitor were our 2 different Zoom rooms full of attendees. And I loved watching you guys watch the event. You got a bug.
I got a bug?
Yeah.
That was a little bug right there.
Oh, and very, very important, the old school whiteboard. This gave me information that I needed to refer to randomly that wasn't in any flow. This section was different things we could do if I needed to vamp for time. Had all of our sponsor info here so that I could refer to it when needed, and all of our team member names just so I didn't forget anybody on the fly. You know, that adrenaline thing. In such a big live event, you really need redundancy. So there were 2 other ways that I was being fed information. One, my IFB, which is just an in-ear monitor, and Greg, the producer, was actually feeding me information if I needed to slow down, speed up, wrap, we have our next guest ready to go, things like that. The other way was this little notes portion of this monitor, Kathleen, who was our run of show manager, letting me know what was coming up, but only the next couple of things so that I wasn't distracted with all of the things. Only, hey, we need to intro Amy, and you have 2 minutes to do so. Hey, Amy Porterfield has 30 minutes coming up. And me as a host, a speaker, when I can see your faces big and bold and see the chat over here, it's so much more engaging. It's like I'm standing on stage interacting with you in person. And I could actually call your names up on stage. You could ask questions of the speakers. You could share your big takeaways from the event. And by the way, hundreds of messages saying that this was the best virtual event that they had been to, which blows my mind. By the way, if you want help with remote production of your own virtual event, summit, or even your weekly live show, we got you covered. Go to remoteproduction.live and check it out. So that's front of house. Let's head on over to back of house where Greg is.
Hey, welcome to the production booth. Everything that Luria sees on the screen is being run by all the computers back here, and you can see we've got a lot of stuff. So I'll take you through all of it, starting over here with the Zoom rooms. This computer ran Zoom Room 1, this computer ran Zoom Room 2, and this was the speaker Zoom room where we brought each speaker up one at a time. All of our audio came in through the Behringer XR18 mixer. Luria had a wireless mic. We ended up using multiple wireless devices. We started with the Sennheisers. We were getting too much interference in this building, so we moved to Audio-Technica to bring in her mic. And for redundancy, we had a Rode NTG4 Plus positioned over Luria's head, so in case we had any interference from the wireless pack, I could switch to the shotgun.
Speaking of audio, when you go into more complex tech setups, you introduce the possibility of more tech problems. We actually had an audio sync issue. We were able to fix that, but it's worth a mention.
Because all of the source video was coming out of the computers as HDMI, being converted into SDI and then back to HDMI for the switcher, it introduced a video delay that we had to match with the audio. And because each audio signal was going back to the Zoom rooms as its own separate mix minus, that introduced more complexity, that we had to introduce delay separately on each audio channel just to match the sync. And in Luria's ear, we had an IFB, which stands for Interruptible Foldback. It's just a mic that I could push to talk, give her instruction on to either cue her for the next speaker or to extend what she's talking about because we needed more time. And on this side of the table, we had 3 other computers. Graphics 1, which was running your slide presentations, Graphics 2, which was all the overlays, and a confidence screen, which gave Luria your chat and the notes from the run of show. And all of these sources came into the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. We actually had more sources than there are inputs on the ATEM Mini Extreme, so we brought in 2 more ATEM Minis just so we could manage those sources. I'm using these screens to monitor all of the inputs. I have multi-views for all of the behind-the-scenes cameras and all of the sources that are coming in from the Zoom rooms, as well as what's going out on broadcast. This monitor at the top is giving me the run of show, keeping me on schedule so I know what's up next and how to cue Luria. We also use 2 Elgato Stream Decks, one to control the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO and one to control the graphic overlays. All of the cameras were hardwired into the switcher either through SDI or HDMI with a converter, except for one which was on an HDMI wireless transmitter. We were using the Hollyland Mars 400S Pro, and it was mounted on a jib. Let's go take a look at the cameras now.
The cameras of choice, we used Sony cameras for this event, and these things are great. Their autofocus is chef's kiss, beautiful. Love them, and they look great too. But in particular, this camera is on a wireless transmitter. It's sending the signal to the production booth. And you may notice this is mounted to something kind of interesting. You may have never seen one of these before. This is a jib arm, and it's mounted to a tripod that we put wheels on, so it's mobile. We can move it around in and out of the shoot or production, and what it allows the operator, me, to do is move the camera like up and down, and the camera stays level. Down here, I have a monitor because I operate it from down here, and the one thing about the Sony cameras, the screens are a little small. They're great when you're in your hands, but once you get them a few feet away, it's a little hard to see. So I have this monitor right here so I can actually see what is going on while I am operating this thing. Now, there are a couple obstacles and challenges that come in when you are using a camera that's on wheels or mobile, and that is that the scene changes wherever you're pointing the camera. Lighting is a big deal. Like, the jib was right here facing this big window most of the event. Luckily, it was kind of dark on those days, which actually worked to our favor. The window wasn't totally blown out like it is right now. So for our main lighting, we did try to keep it as simple as possible, and we're using 2 lights by Amaran, the Amaran 100X. And these things are super bright, and what's really neat is you can link them together with your phone and just set the color and brightness right from your pocket. Super cool. So this is just one of the cameras that we're using. We got a total of 8 cameras, like this one. This is the main shot that we got going on. This is the Sony A5100 with the ECAMM teleprompter. You can't actually see the camera right now, but because this is in the way, so let's cut to some B-roll. Then we have this camera, which we were calling camera right because it was to the right. And this is the Sony A7 III. Then we have this camera, the Sony A6100. We were using it for a behind the scenes camera, but we ended up not actually using it. But there's one more camera I want to show you, and I kind of lied earlier. Sorry. So confession time. I lied when I said we were using all Sony cameras. This is actually the Blackmagic Studio camera for behind the scenes, so you can see Greg.
But wait, there's more!
Hey, let me take you through a really quick tour of all the equipment that I have at my office that allowed me to remote produce this event. Okay, so these 3 computer displays behind me, this is running off of my M1 16-inch MacBook Pro Max. This allows me to connect to 5 different computer systems at the same time through remote control software so that I can control what's happening in those systems. So this display over here has 4 different machines running on it. Each of those computer systems have anywhere between 2 and 3 displays running, and it allows me to control the information that is being displayed through the broadcast. And you see that big 65-inch TV in the back wall over there? That allows me to see the live broadcast at any time. But what about the audience members? We ran 2 different Zoom rooms. You can see here on the displays behind me, one computer system display is showing Zoom Room 1 and the other display is Zoom Room 2. Now, each of those computer systems runs 3 different displays, an internal monitor that's on the MacBook itself, and then 2 external displays. One is the gallery and the other one is the live speaker. Now this little M1 MacBook over here does a really important thing. It actually sends the gallery view over to the speaker computer.
Question from Elfin Magic: how did your behind-the-scenes folks communicate with each other? Greg?
We used a service called Unity Intercom, which has an app for your phone. It works just like a walkie-talkie, and everyone was on headset.
Danny Dodge Live wants to know what size monitors these are.
They're 55 inches.
Elfin also wants to know, how did the guest speakers see the participants' video gallery? Daniel?
Now this monitor over here shows me the speaker computer. Now the speaker computer is where all of our guests and our speakers will come in order to be able to be broadcast. And they see something very, very specific. In particular, they see a clock timer, they see a gallery view so they can see the entire audience as well, and the reactions as well as the chat. They also get to see themselves, so it's kind of like a confidence monitor, and they get to see the live broadcast.
John Pullum wants to know, how did you pull out your wall bed, my Murphy bed, with all of the gear? I didn't. And lots of you wanted to know, how did we plug it all in?
We had all the computers and lights plugged into power strips that went into UPSs on separate circuits.
If you didn't get to join us for the live summit, you can of course get access to the replays. And if you want to keep geeking out about this stuff, learn more, we have a link in the description. And if you want to keep geeking out here on YouTube, we've got all kinds of videos about the tech in your home video studio. Check it out there.
I can cut.